The original idea for the private series actually came from my editor at Simon & Schuster. She wanted to do a series set at a private school, and she basically called me up and asked me if I would be interested. And that was basically the only detail that she had. So when I sat back to think about what I wanted to do, I thought about the setting of a private school and all of that sort of tradition and the old hallowed buildings, and it seemed like a great place to set a mystery. So that was basically where that all began. And then it just from there became, who is my main character going to be? What does she want? Where are we going to get the mystery from? Which just lent itself to the mysterious, untouchable Billings girls, and they are definitely the center of the mystery, at least in the first 4 books. So that was basically it. It was pretty natural. I did not go to a private school. I did, however, go to a school that was very wealthy. It was a public school, but just filled with kids who had basically everything handed to them, and I was one of the few, like Reed, my main character in the private series, who did not live that way. So in that respect, I had a very similar high school experience to Reed. All my friends had second and third homes and new cars on their 17th birthdays, and I never had any of that. So while I got to benefit from some of those things through them, I always felt like a little bit of an outsider in that respect. In high school, I would have to say my clique was the overachiever clique. We were basically the kids who were in the honors classes, but also did the musicals and the plays, and were in all the clubs, and we did several sports and worked part-time jobs. We were just nonstop action people. I just enjoyed being involved in basically everything in high school. So I don't think the Billings girls would have taken to me personally. I think my priorities were nothing like theirs. I wasn't into clothes, I wasn't into status, and I definitely was not a party girl, so I think that they would definitely avoid me like the plague. Inner Circle basically follows Reed, basically at the end of book 4, which is Confessions. It's the middle of Reed's sophomore year. Inner Circle, which is book 5, picks up at the beginning of her junior year. So we've missed a few months in between that I had to sort of go back and tell the reader a little bit about what happened. But basically she comes back junior year and she's completely ready for a new start. All of the intrigue and scariness that happened to her in the first 4 books is over in her mind, and she's ready to just have a new life. But of course, we have to throw her some curveballs, and we start up a new mystery in Inner Circle. When it comes to coming up with drama for the private books, it's actually pretty much the easiest job I've ever had. It's almost like I get too many story ideas, and then I have to whittle down what's actually going to work and what's not going to work. There's so many great characters that I love, and there's so many relationships. There's just a million things that I could do. So I'm very lucky to have a great editor who works as a sounding board for me, and she helps me figure out what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what's completely off the wall. If anything, I've got 20 different story ideas in the hopper. Hopefully we'll be able to use them someday.